Hello, everyone, and welcome to Performance Anxiety's 37th online reading event. I'm here with Basil, who is my sort of honorary co-host. Basil is one of our older cats, and I'm also here, fortunately, with Asparagus, who hopefully will be willing to come visit for a quick second. Before we start the reading, I just wanted to shout out Asparagus, who has been sort of our honorary Performance Anxiety co-host for a long time. Today is his gotcha day, so it's the day that we adopted him from West Virginia 2 years ago. So he has been causing havoc and hosting Performance Anxiety for 2 solid years. Shout out to him, who's about to go tackle his brother. So I'll let him get to that, and we will get to some beautiful, amazing poems. I am so excited. I may have mentioned before, my name is Tom Snarski. I'm always excited to host Performance Anxiety. And tonight we're thrilled to be here with an amazing group of readers whose talent I'm in awe of and whose work I'm really, really excited to hear live and in person. So in case you haven't listened in before, Performance Anxiety is an online reading series that we host via Skype, platform of dreams, usually on the third Thursday of every month. And we have a new time. We've been doing it at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 8:30 p.m. Central. At each of our events, we feature a group of invited readers whose work we love to share a selection of their writing with us. Having slots every month means we're pretty much always looking for folks who would be interested in reading and sharing what they've been working on. So if you are or know a poet or writer who'd be interested in sharing their work at a future event, please get in touch with us. We're always looking for people, and we have met so many amazing poets and writers through this, and we love to continue that. So you can get in touch with us via the Performance Anxiety Twitter account. That's at Performance ANXT on Twitter, or you can just DM us directly. So I am at Tom Snarski on both Twitter and Instagram. You can also email me, Tom Snarski, same spelling, at gmail.com. And the co-organizer of Performance Anxiety and co-founder is Kristin Garth, who I'm very excited to also introduce in the capacity as our first reader of the evening. So Kristin Garth is a Pushcart Ristling nominated sonneteer and a Best of the Net 2020 finalist. Her sonnets have stalked journals like Glass, Yes, 521, Luna Luna, and more. She's the author of a short story collection, You Don't Want This, from Pink Plastic Press, and The Stakes from Really Serious Literature, among many, many more amazing books. She's the founder of Pink Plastic House, a tiny journal, and co-founder of Performance Anxiety. So thank you, as always, Kristin, for being with us and for leading it off. Take it away.
Thank you. I'm going to be reading an excerpt of a story that it's part of the You Don't Want This collection that's coming out on 31st. And if you're interested in that book, you can pre-order it now on my website under its page. But anyway, this is called Livy on the Dance Floor. At Purple Shells, when she met the first 3 showgirls dancers that fateful Saturday night, Livy felt she'd landed on the solution she'd sought so long. Besides Livy, they were the daintiest, prettiest girls frolicking lewdly on the rotating wooden floor. Watching their bodies move in their filthy unison, Livy saw a technique and a sense of harmony that made them feel like a team, a dance team. Livy twirled and twerked in their direction until she bumped asses with one dancer, an uncharacteristically aggressive move on her part. If they were a part of a team, Livy wanted in, whatever it was. Dance was her art, her destiny, her purpose in life. The ass Livy bumped was small and denim-clad. It belonged to a platinum blonde whose bob was in low, short braids. Her future first and last naughty mentor turned towards Livy with a lascivious look. The look frightened Livy, widened her doe eyes. Mina's demeanor changed instantly to playful. She leaned in close to Livy so she could hear her through the music. Just playing it up for the potential customers. You can play pretend, right? Livy had no idea what the girl meant about customers, but she nodded because she would agree to anything for a new friend, one authoritative as she was nurturing and gentle. She looked at Livy like a child suddenly, even though they were probably close to the same age. I'm Mina, the girl said initially, though it was a lie. It was her stripper name. Livy only found out much later in the Waffle House, where she followed the others at the end of the night, just down the street from Showgirls, which was still, at this moment, their secret. Soon it would be Livy's secret, too. Over scrambled eggs at 2 a.m., Livy spoke of her struggles to work and pay for college, even with a scholarship. The secret she learned from the girls at the Waffle House that night was she didn't have to struggle a quarter as hard. Livy could do what she loved, dance, and be paid. Once she learned this secret, she could not wait to make it her own. In the strip club, Mina became her mentor. The younger girl was invincible, iconic inside its windowless walls. Other girls envied her confidence, how she could coolly walk away from any man who wouldn't pay the steep price of her company, knowing it was their loss. Their long faces always showed they knew it too. In Purple Shells, where they danced on nights off, Mina was something less than a role model to Libby. She wasn't even Mina, the unattainable hustler, but Brooke, just another small-town girl with daddy issues and embarrassingly common womanly needs everyone of Libby's gender besides her seemed to have. The same girl who wouldn't sit with a man without a bottle of Dom popped and $100 deposited in her garter for the trouble, wandered to the parking lot with any air conditioning repairman plying her with Molly and pet names. It was the week of Libby and Brooke's first actual fight, when Libby first met, through the TV screen, Maddie Ziegler. Brooke left Libby without a ride at Purple Shells to fuck a barback who Libby heard calling Brooke a whore an hour before. Libby was ignoring Mina's calls, focusing on her studies, filling the rest of her night with TV. None of it felt fulfilling until, flipping past the channel, the face of young Maddie Ziegler, perfectly made up and suit-and-knowing with impeccable lines, filled her screen. The more episodes of the show Libby watched, she was more certain Maddie was the mentor she had been looking for in Mina. Maddie was talented, professional, made up as an adult, but clearly a child and respected as such. Each night, as Libby soaked her aching feet after dancing for hours in 5-inch platforms, she bundled up in a robe to watch Dance Moms and covet Melissa's obsessive nurturing of Maddie and her career. She rarely even spoke to her own mother, certainly did not think of Luann Laurent that way anymore. Libby's dancing was her singular pride and passion. Her mother hadn't shown any interest in it for years. What was the use of a mother like that? About as useful as Mina was to her as a dancing mentor. She needed none of these fallen women as her advisors. She looked only to Maddie for the answers to all of her problems. Smelling of cigars and the cologne of multiple men that never seemed to completely wash off her body, Libby asked herself, if I had a mother like Melissa, would I be on a television show with all the opportunities of the world ahead of me? Libby couldn't say for sure. She certainly didn't think she'd be spending her shifts swerving out of reach of disgusting men, less and less content to watch the artful lines of her body and more intent on possessing it, penetrating it, destroying it with their sperm and offspring. Libby would never give in to their nauseating desires, never be degraded and deprived of her instrument by pregnancy or childbirth. Never would she be her mother or Mina. She certainly had every opportunity to be just like them. At Purple Shells, Libby was propositioned every night by single men with dates, old men, businessmen, servicemen, college boys, even the owner. They offered her marriage, apartments, college tuition, shopping sprees, breast implants, credit cards, vacations, laser hair removal, straight cash, sexual slavery. She turned them down with the same giggly, "Ew," she'd responded to boys in elementary school who pulled her hair. She watched Maddie Ziegler's horror at having to kiss a boy in a performance, and she felt it in the nerves of her own tiny spine. Men wanted to fuck, marry, blow up a body with a baby. Every step of this cruel choreography was designed to degrade the dancer, to spoil the dance. In unforgiving dressing room light and full nudity, you could always tell a mom, of which there were many in a strip club, from the nulliparous, the medical term for women who had never given birth. Livy had looked the word up in order to define herself, in a solemn vow to die in this condition. Also to never carry more than 99 pounds on her 4'11" frame. Years later, at the ripe age of 41, thanks to a discipline she attributed to the unknowing mentorship of Maddie Ziegler, she had kept both these resolutions. Well, Jackson Musto had helped too. Showgirls offered Livy a stage and patrons, and for this, it would always hold space in her childish heart. The stage was in a den of gross iniquities, filled with obese lechers. Bloated, dirty thoughts floated out of their ever-open mouths, coated the air, the very air Livy breathed, determined to penetrate her petite frame somehow. Livy had nightmares of nanoscopic, purulent fetuses floating about her bloodstream, implanting, then eviscerating her during parturition. The only thing that eased her anxiety in these dark moments was listening to Maddie Ziegler's solo performance anthem, Cry. In the lyrics of this ballad, Libby felt truly seen, the way that she was only ever was on stage. Libby's favorite dream was of a stage, not the filthy one at Showgirls anymore, but a pristine dream stage with theatrical lighting and a vast auditorium housed in a building she owned and to which she always had access. There were no table dances, men in her ear with fantasies that made her want to vomit or shook her awake in her sleep. In the dressing room at Showgirls, to cope, she carefully copied Maddie Ziegler's makeup. Libby spent hours rewinding dressing room scenes, focusing on the pastel tubes, scanning for labels, and memorizing every detail of the child's techniques. Later in Maddie's career, she would do full makeup tutorials on YouTube, which Libby memorized. However, at this early stage of both of their careers, Libby's Maddie makeover required hours of detective work, scouring online and in cosmetic stores color matching, but success was worth it. Perfecting the look, Libby's earnings doubled. Libby's earnings doubled. But more importantly, the Maddie mask protected at least her face from the defilement of Showgirls. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Kristin, for leading us off tonight. And that again was Kristin Garth, reader extraordinaire and also co-organizer of Performance Anxiety. You can find Kristin's work, you can find Kristin, period, on Twitter at Lola and Jolie, LOLAANDJOLIE. And you can keep track of all Kristin's amazing projects at her website, which is Kristin, Kristin, Garth, GARTH.com. And I'm really excited to introduce our second reader of the evening, who I've had the pleasure of seeing read a couple of times recently because we were celebrating not too long ago the launch of her first book. That reader, who I'm super pumped to introduce, a performance anxiety vet par excellence, is Sara Matson. And Sara Matson has poetry in Bone Bouquet, Impossible Task, Daily Drunk, and Elsewhere. Sara's full-length book of poetry, Personal Fashion, Woo Woo, is available from Swallowtail Press, and her chapbook, Electric Grandma, is available from Another New Calligraphy, who does amazing work. Sara, and yeah, Basil agrees. Sara lives in Chicago, where she tweets as @Skeletor Writes. She has a huge cat following here, as you can hear. So I'm gonna, mute the cat noises and let Sara take it away. Thank you so much for being with us, Sara. Basil, love you.
Hello, everyone. Tom and Kristin, thank you so much for having me back. It's such a pleasure to read for Performance Anxiety, and with all you fantastic writers, I'm really thrilled to be here. I'm going to be reading from my book, like Tom mentioned, Personal Fashion. The first poem tonight is called Frenemies. Glitter and heft she curled fetal beside lavish embroidery, knuckles cascading into heiress jawlines, gems spraying like blood roaches. Outside checkered firestorm engulfed pictographic remembrances of the introspective times, buying while hand-holding, umbrellas as weapons, cocaine in a glass crucifix, vinyl corsets and bullseye ditches, fetish wear, but like #Free Britney. She as biocompatible subject with golden play button, popcorn statuette, Teen Choice Award private lesson privilege, writes in foreign cursive, raging about the ravages of 2000 being 20 years ago. Clutching a $600 haircut in your fist, the sweetest K you ever rolled into, crushed abalone shells dazzling passerbys, wine-stained teeth darting across her face like cosmic interruption. Lifting each other by the labels of velour lounge pants, I snap the phone shut and make the call. My next poem tonight is called Tailoring. Curled down the barrel of a ghost gun, perplexing all the pretty dead in their lilac button-downs and shine shoes that emanated dreamy sensuality. Joined at the blonde head sprung from shoulder padded bliss, glass antiquities and nuance wrapped in silver-shaped intimidation, blurring the day's edges, an unscented serenade of the obscene. Zero gravity sliced through nail beds in neon cubes, backlit, and living in some miracle gel ridiculous. Even post-life snakeskin taught sunburn and its fluorescent crust to calm, wrapped delicately in baby eyelids, butter soft and endangered at the root. Even from across the room, I understood. Envy is a subtle ruffle. Sorry. My last one here from Personal Fashion is called Center Spread. Clashing neon faux fur fantasy of it all, violins and pink cigarettes for legs. Large onyx buckles bruise the top of my feet as I skip, high as fuck. Rash sack dress, a grandma dreamt up, scratching off my neck hair in painstaking twirls. Sweater vests and acetate tongues have been trailing me for miles, ominous and out of sync with my peep toes, backless and clingy. I rest like a knit on wooden hips, my suit split neckline to navel, double-breasted. I have the boundaries of an expensive clown, sleeping with my fists tucked into my panties, a warning. Stardust struck under eye, beauty ritual, a pastel dreamscape and bandaged head. Bigger glasses, smaller margins, fury spread collar wide down the center. I skipped breakfast to do my makeup, enjoyed the space age mall recliner vibrating into the small of my back, thumb poised to snap the zipper down. And I have one more quick brand spanking new, because I love new shit for performance anxiety. So this is inspired by the TV show X-Files, which I've been rewatching with my incredible husband. And this is called which is The Truth Is Out There backwards. A wayward hair spun itself so deeply into my shin, the resulting infection sent me to hospital, where Dr. Lips joked about amputation, while I sketched insurance info with one eye closed around gritted teeth to soothe nausea. Maybe there's not enough brass in pop music. I upset everyone when I said I wanted to die so I could come back as Gillian Anderson's thong. The ticking in every warm mug, arbiter of seconds measured in lasting throat warmth. Fix your hearts or die. Paranoid subversion, oh spooky. I knew you as the most beautiful DEA agent the world had ever known. Panties worn one leg at a time, thigh holster empty as I suck the lipstick off your bottom teeth. Thank you so much. I'm Sara Matson.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for the pyrotechnics to that reading. Basil approves, and trying not to look like Tublefeld over here, but I can't help it. Again, that was Sara Matson, who you can find on Twitter at Skeletor Writes, SKELETORWRITES. And please consider checking out Personal Fashion. Like Sarah said, you can purchase it from Swallowtail Press, or you can purchase Personal Fashion directly through Sarah at Linktree, so linktr.ee/Sara Matson. SARAMATSON. All the proceeds are being split between two wonderful organizations because Sarah is awesome, and yeah, it's a great time, and that book is wonderful. I had a great privilege of blurbing it, and I would be happy to do so again. And so while Basil is doing this, whatever he's doing, I'm really excited to introduce our next reader coming up, a first-timer to performance anxiety, whose work I've admired from afar for a while through a mutual friend, Joe Yanni, who's another performance anxiety alum. That's Sanna Wani. Sanna Wani is a Kashmiri poet living near the Mississippi River. Her work has been featured at the Academy of American Poets Poem a Day, in Brick, Briar Patch, Best Canadian Poetry 2020, CBC, and Time. My Grief, the Sun is her debut collection. It's coming from the House of Anansi Press. She loves daisies, and we're so excited to have her. Thank you so much, Sanna, for being here with us. I'm really so thrilled that you could be here and that you're going to get to read your poems with us. Take it away.
Thanks, Tom. Is sound okay? Sound video is good? Good. Cool. I'm really glad to be here. I'm really glad to see Basil. I'm glad to see all of you. Like Tom said, my first book just came out. Is coming out April 5th, but it is in my hands now. So it's small in here, and I will be reading from it today. So I think I'll start with Today and Every Day Without You, which begins with an epigraph by Alexander Ristovic, where he says, "I don't care about the flowers, which I merely invented to give myself another reason to address you. Today and every day without you is long and sharp, tastes like milk and salt. A teacup where you sat, like so many trees, is now dry. We drink like tired fossils from the rock of our want, from the dregs of green and pink flowers, hungry for the sun, like the roses in the garden, or the dream I had, where you became the sky, where I met you in the unhurried blue of an afternoon, Daisy who stands to greet me, the sun, the breeze, sliding down the letter H until I am home, waiting for your call. My mother, watching the water, sits still in the garden, light bouncing continually through our hands, the marble of the door, bright, bronze, and broken. Oh, hungry flowers, I am trying to show you how quiet the slope of my desire sits on the hillside. Endless, buried, there you are in every beautiful thing, wearing the light again. I am watching the trees again, the sky is calling. For quiet, the morning, like everyone's eyes, the door shut tight, only the daisies unfurling, watching as I leave. So that's one. And I immediately thought of this poem because of our dear friend Basil, because it's the only poem in the collection that has a cat in it. So I will read that one. Your Departure, a Loneliness. I pray best when my parents are getting on long-haul flights. I wake up wondering if I have the courage to be alone with my body again, or my cat. My mother hates my cat, usually, but today she's standing in the hallway before we leave, tying her shoes and petting the cat, saying, "Don't make a mess, stay off the couch, take care of her for me." She doesn't see me, listening in the doorway. My father adores my cat. He talks to her all the time, but decides not to even look at her the entire day before they leave. This is truthfully quite typical of how he loves. My mother's cheeks are red under the elevator lights, so I ask her if she stole the lipstick that I stole from my sister. She says no. But you took Peron, and I ask Peron what, and she says you. I try not to cry all day, but it's especially hard in the car, under the engine's hum and cover of mostly dark. I avoid blinking. I tilt my face up. I don't really know why I'm doing this. Habit, shame, or fear. I'm worried about my father, so I pester him all day in my bossiest voice about his medicine, his driving, his passport, his prayers, all the things I know he knows better than me. I don't ask for a hug, but I ask at least 10 times, "Are you sure you don't want me to park? 4 suitcases is too much for the two of you. $10 isn't that much." But they say no. Don't worry, we'll be fine. We hug, and I try to press into their bodies every word I cannot say. I will miss you so much. It's hard to live together. I want you to come back soon. On my way home, I listen to Joni Mitchell, which is a mistake. As I pull out the clicker that opens the garage, I remember how my dad always takes it out for me when he's sitting in the front seat, and how my mother always puts her hand on my shoulder when I park. So I park, and I sit for 20 minutes, finally crying, thinking about what it means to be alone, feeling like a fool. I think I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those incredible poems, Sina. That where I was like on the edge of my seat. So was Basil, who's just been contentedly drooling in his newfound, immortalization in verse. And if, as I am, you're just sort of recovering from all the feelings you just had, please check out Sanna Wani's new book, My Grief, the Sun, her debut collection, coming very, very soon from House of Anansi Press. So you can find that book at House of Anansi, HOUSEOFANANSI.com, and take a look. You can search Sunna's name, which is SANNA WANI, and you can follow Sanna on the socials. Instagram, I believe, is Sanna Reya, SANNA and Twitter is Sanna Wani, SANNA WANI. So please keep your ear very close to the ground for these next couple of weeks when Sanna's book comes out, which will be a seismic event, as you've just experienced firsthand. So with that, we're actually right at the keystone center of our reading order, which is always an exciting moment as Basil gets a little bit more comfy. And so our next reader, who I'm very excited to introduce, has been with us as a listener before and is now here reading work, which is always an exciting development. That's Ken Tomaro. Ken Tomaro is a writer living in Cleveland, Ohio. His work is a reflection of everyday life with depression. Sometimes blunt, mostly depressive, but always grounded in reality. This, everyone, is Ken Tomaro. Thank you for being here, and take it away, Ken.
Oh, thanks for the opportunity. I feel like I should have given a longer bio, but I like to keep it short and sweet. I'm going to try to squeeze in 3 because I do some pretty short poetry. First one is, I've got a couple books on Amazon. One is How to Tape a Snickers to the Wall So You Can Take a Nap. And this one is called The Light of 1,000 Universes. What a strange image burned in my mind, the skyline, but the buildings were nothing more than a silhouette of thin red lines against a glaring black backdrop, as if the structures were no more than an outline of red burning embers in the vacuum of space, bold and tall, horrifying yet blissfully calm. This city, this silhouette, what I call home, burned with the intensity of 1,000 universes igniting at once. And long after the fire burned out and the dust settled, after the universe cooled until nothing was left but black sky, this image of the city was etched forever in the canvas of space. And I hoped that in time, burning red flowers and trees would fill the landscape with the same intensity until one could no longer look at it, gaze into the fire without fear of blindness. So that's that one. This one, the second book, was called An Angry Year. And this is just a real quick one. No title to it. I wish I could teach her the peacefulness of sitting on the porch, watching clouds and lightning bugs, wandering cats, church bells in the distance, chattering birds in the neighborhood trees, the sun falling slowly behind the horizon. But some people are most at peace in a world of chaos. And last one, another short one. There was a time when I looked up to her, literally, a child staring upward at the person who gave me life. And then there was a time I looked down upon her, literally, a young man staring at cold marble under 6 feet of dirt. And that's all I got.
Thank you so much, Ken, for that beautiful burst of the short lyric doing amazing things. We were shouting out, I love the wandering cats in your poem and how many cat poems we've heard tonight. And to come full circle with the mother is so really cool, given how we started. That again was Ken Tomaro, who you can find on Twitter at Anxiety Milkshake, Anxiety MLKSHAKE, and keep an eye out for those books that Ken mentioned, which you can find on Amazon. So it's Ken Tomaro, KenTomaro. Search them up, check them out. Just a wonderful way to reach our midpoint and then go over into the back half of our reading order, which is equally studded with amazing poets and their work. And to begin that back half of the order, I'm really excited to introduce Aleah Dye. Aleah Dye primarily writes poetry, usually about morbidity, love, mental illness, religion, and philosophy. She's dreadfully afraid of imperfection and spiders in no particular order. Aleah is a law student, a 2020 Sundress Publications Best in the Net nominee, and the graphic designer for Per Happened, wonderful publication. Read her latest work via Only Magazine and give her a listen right now. Thanks, Aleah, for being here.
Thank you for having me. I've been looking forward to it. Very excited to be invited. The first thing that I'd like to read is actually a poem from my sort of inquiry chapbook right now. So y'all are the first to hear this poem. No one's read it, no one's heard it, so it's gonna be very exciting. Hopefully my audio sticks with you. If something happens, let me know. And it is called, "In peace I will lie down and sleep, for you alone make me dwell in safety." A stretch of road at night, one more restless drive across the landscape that eats you up, casts you in shadow. The valley of death is full of ambient music, and the temperature is nothing like hell, something like heaven. And suddenly you're asleep, your head bumping the window like God tapping your skull, but the waking up is still pleasant, because pain can create great things all through Christ's strength, right? Maybe you will believe it the moment your love looks at you and whispers you back to purgatory. So that's that. That's sort of a shorter one, but I'm really excited. So hopefully that chapbook comes out somewhere soon so that people can get their eyes on it. The second poem is my first and only abecedarian that I've ever written. So that was a really fun challenge. It's unpublished as of right now, and it is called Conventionally Detracted. And a content warning for body dysmorphia about this poem. All I want is to be the prettiest person in the world, but I know that is impossible. I know I cannot be the best at everything, yet I die a new small death each time I fail. Every time I see a beautiful woman, I feel painfully average in a way that grinds my bones, in a way that hurts my very structure. I deserve comfort, but I make myself jump for it. I imagine models dangling well-kept standards above my head, and when I lunge for them, their heels grow taller out of my reach. Nothing anyone can say will open my heart to myself. Nothing can placate a mind that refuses to actualize quite what its home is like. The real body is always miscalculated by seething brain, a pitched fit, a headache born from the crying, eyebrows hunched together under fresh wrinkles. My anger steals the good voice inside me. I choke myself. All I want is to be the prettiest person in the world, but the effort aches as I x-ray my every move, as I check how lithe your arms are compared to mine, as I zigzag lip liner across my lids, pretending it's good enough to be your makeup. That was a long one, but I'm proud of that one. Writing an abecedarian was difficult to get every letter in the order that it needs to be in. And then finally, I have sort of I would call it a 3-part series of short poems. It was first published with Maria Sasampaguitas, that's their full name, on Twitter. You can find that magazine. They're great. Okay, so the first one is Stream of Consciousness 1. There is a part of me that knows my boyfriend is human, but part of me still thinks him angel, sprite, fairy, elf, everything soft but powerful, good but bad when necessary, an unrelenting mischief. And I want to attach myself to him, tie our wings together, perhaps we'll stay grounded, but then maybe there's that cottage in the woods just for grounded fairies where glitter still means gold, gold like his heart and shining like his smile. I want to kiss his lips in new ways every day, and I hope that every day he wants to kiss mine. And Stream of Consciousness 2. I wonder if we can be innocent together, or if we are already too far gone, too touched, swallowed too much trauma, bellies full of other people's faces and fingers. Can we be pure again, God-touched, toes in green grass, or are we already melting through purgatory? and stream of consciousness 3. Love is tying twine around our fingers and posing in the sunlight, growing your smile taller than weeds, and I think love is good like soft bread and warm like stones in the summer. And love might be sleeping with your ankles over mine, and love might be more than all this. Love might be just in our brains, but I'll take mine out every day and show you. And that's all I have. I hope that everybody liked that. I can't believe I said purgatory twice. I forgot that was in both poems.
Thank you so much, Aleah. Double purgatory, 2 for the price of 1. That was beautiful. Those poems, again, were by Aleah Dye, who is joining us right now. Aleah can be found on Twitter at, I believe, Bears Beats Poet, so BearsBeetsPoet, and keep an eye on all the amazing work Aleah is doing. Again, latest from Olney Magazine, OLNEY Magazine. Maria Sitsampo-Guidas is a great publication too. The graphic design work for Per Happened, and you can find Aleah's website at indie-writers.fandom.com/wiki/Aleah Dye, ALEH _DYE. So thank you again, Aleah, for that. And it's always a little bit sad to get closer to the end of our reading order because we do only have 2 readers left, but I'm so excited for both of them to be here with us tonight. And the first of those 2 readers that are going to take us home is Gina Tron. Gina Tron is the author of 7 books, 2 forthcoming. In 2020, her first book of poetry, Star 67, was published with Vegetarian Alcoholic Press, another amazing indie press. It contained a poem that has been nominated for a Pushcart Prize, and Plowshares called the book an act of resistance. Her second and forthcoming memoir, Suspect, brings essays and reflections about her time being accused of wanting to shoot up her high school prom. It won the 2020 Tarpaulin Sky Book Award. Her first memoir, You're Fine, was called Vibrant, Darkly Funny, and Courageously Candid by Interview Magazine. Gina, thank you so much for being here with us. We're so excited to hear what you're going to share from your work today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here, and it's been such a pleasure to hear everyone read. Everyone's so talented. So yeah, honored to be here. I'm going to first read a poem from Star 67 from 2020. This one's called Grand Theft Auto. Childhood suspended, we walk under sherbet skies, past homes, past cages, crackles and pops, belly on ground, crawling towards a Buick. A memory of a red-bellied snake on dirt, slithering under. The loudest gunshot pierces ears, both our hearts, which slither into one beet-red pool. We run towards the noisy street, shaking, hungry. We wait an hour in a line for a video game. We spend the night stealing cars and shooting people and laughing. Maybe it means something. My parents once hid under a car as unmarried kids, as bullets rained on vacation, but we only date 3 months. And then I'm gonna read from Employment from last year, also with Vegetarian Alcoholic Press. And this is a book of just all these different jobs I've had. Well, this one's called Side Note. I've been working since 6 a.m. and my boyfriend is sleeping. It's 11, he's sleeping. His phone keeps ringing, it's his job. Honey, it's X calling. I'm his receptionist every morning. The days his phone is on. He answers, yes, I'm doing X and X. I'm working from home, but I'm just finishing up. Goodbye. He rolls over and goes back to sleep. 3 hours later, he's home again playing EverQuest. He is promoted, and I am degraded. I am sleeping with my coworker. He loves my work. Wow, they really criticize your work more than mine or any other guy, he points out. I would not point this out because I know I'll get pointed at. Later, I break up with him for unrelated reasons. One boy, 4,229 cups. I try to stay his friend or even fuck friend, but he says it's either girlfriend or dead to him, and that's how he became they too. Now he also hates my work. Obviously, he can send emails without exclamation points. I cannot. He can end conversations without thank you so much, or fix situations with without I'm sorry, my bad. I get reprimanded for a bad attitude if I try to exude a professional attitude, a confident altitude like the men told me to. Act like a boss if you're male, you'll be treated like a boss. Act like a boss if you're not, you'll be treated like a woman. Remember, exclamation points lessen the balls you blow, boss, when trying to get your point across. A boss in the boardroom, but a baby in the bedroom, and a baby in the kitchen, and a baby in the living room, a baby when there are boobs around. I am weak, he says, yet I need to be the boss. I need to. I just have to. But for you, I am helpless. Dote on them at home like their mom does, who they don't call on Mother's Day. Don't forget to call your mom, the receptionist says. Baby forever, who can't cook an egg or tie his own shoelace, but can destroy the lives of 10 people if he so wishes. Bosses like that flood the boardroom, the control room, the newsroom, all sorts of rooms. And the last one I'm going to read is from my brief stint as a stockbroker, but it was really just telemarketer. So this one's called Stockbroker. It's either take 3 buses or ride home in my coworker's Porsche, maybe my Bulldog and Stripes boss's Lamborghini, or my supervisor's red Audi, or her husband's black Audi. I'll have one too, soon enough, I'm told. If you work hard enough, you'll have it all. If you work hard enough, it is impossible to fail. If you work hard, you can't not be rich, loaded. I'm just like the man in Boiler Room, I think. I work hard, but my dad's still not proud of me. I'm a junior stockbroker, a junior financial advisor, but he calls me a telemarketer. He doesn't get it. I turn baby broker because artistic I no longer want to seem, so I eclipse. Later, a man tells me this is the most artist thing to do. While I'm bursting at the seams of my disgusting suit, 12 hours a day on the phone, icy calls to Luke, warm to red hot expletive Luke, sir. Hi, I'd like to offer you a free financial consultation. I think they'll be blown away and sign. I think they'll hand me their money. 2 peas in a grocery store too. I really am just a telemarketer in a $300 suit, going into overdraft, eating soup once a day, mangling my feet with $29.99 shoes, $29.99 shoes that don't quite fit. Is this what heels are supposed to do? Is this why women complain? I'm a professional now. The damage will last for years, to the bank account, to the feet, bottom of the pyramid. We work in a triangle, polyhedron off the road in an industrial park, surrounded by signs and ladies with frizzy red hair, smoking cigarettes in yellow kitchens, soaking into gravy-drenched fries. I could be the fry, the lady, or the mansion that surrounds her trailer, but probably just a trailer in the end. Only lonely cars pass us by, no pedestrians. One in an Armani suit tells me he's scared of me because I am quiet. He can tell I'm always thinking, always processing, always stirring something. When my supervisor is getting audited, she tells me to sign a piece of paper that says I made 30K. I made 6.5K. I made $1.33. I did the math. I tell her to fuck off or pay me for my employment. She refuses. I tell her I hope she gets what she deserves. I rise from field mouse to pest in the house. He calls me a loser. He yells at me for making his wife cry. He doesn't care how many times I cried on the bus on the inside. All my spirit just below the drain, just gas left, just 87 octane, siphoned out of a 93 Pontiac, while he and she raced home in their new red Audi, running on 93 premium. That's it. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Gina, for that. I have forever now, baby forever who can't cook an egg in my insult back pocket, which will be indispensable someday, I hope. That again was the absolute powerhouse of Gina Tron, who you can find on Twitter at _Gina Tron. So _GINATRON. Gina's awesome books you heard out from Vegetarian Alcoholic Press and elsewhere. You can also find Gina on Instagram at Gina Tron. GINATRON, and you can find Gina's books and other work at her website www.ginatron.net. So yeah, wow. There's always such an up, a down, a here, a there feeling that happens throughout these readings. But we are at our very last reader of the evening, who I'm extremely excited to introduce. Before I introduce Anthony properly, I just want to mention that I had the pleasure of meeting Anthony because Anthony came out to a reading that happened at Frenchtown Bookshop in New Jersey last month for my book Light Up Swan that came out last year. So it was really cool to get to meet Anthony, and now to know that he's here sharing poems is amazing. So I'm about to introduce again our last reader, who is Anthony Tyler. Anthony Tyler is someone who's been taken with poetry and writing in general since about the 8th grade. Anthony writes short poems and stories, hasn't had anything published yet. So in the new shit spirit of performance anxiety, we're really excited to get to be one of the spaces where Anthony's work will be existing. Anthony takes influence from the beat poets Edgar Allan Poe, Rimbaud, Van Morrison, Lou Reed, among others. And to Anthony, poetry is one of the freest forms of expression and the purest forms of escape from the rigors of day-to-day life that there is. So thank you, Anthony, for joining us. And I'm really excited to hear what you're going to
share. Thanks so much, guys. It's great to be able to read some of my poems to people. I've never read anything to strangers, so there's anxiety. So... But yeah, I have 3 short poems. 2 of them are a little older from my community college days, and one of them is brand new. So here we go. This one is... Oh, wait a minute. This one is like a series of 3 little poems that I combined into one thing. Okay, here we go. Oh, you grocery clerk, push your carts, stack your cans. I see this customer. He dresses up like Hitler. Go back inside. Drive away. To the New York Park, where I saw a concert for us punks. My friends still alive. We felt guitars scream our brains to jello. Dancing psychotically, a girl missing an arm and brass knuckles on her belt. That was my first one. This is my newer one. This is called Bedtime. I can't wait for it, I said, the backwards me nodding, beaming with approval. He's like the reverse Flash. It's the craziest part of our daily cycles, like those fleshy colored droids from the Star Wars movies. Anything can happen, he said. I can get all the band t-shirts at Hot Topic for free. I can fall and catch myself. Those maddening chains on my legs don't exist. The raindrops really do taste like strawberry Nesquik, and the sun and moon always make love in a warm and tender embrace. The best of times, really. It's just fucking marvelous, he said. There is no Jesus proclivity in these halls. And now my favorite dead singers are putting out new albums of no meaning, save for soft white noise. With the lights out, it's that time again, he reminds me. Lights out, bedtime. And this is my... Wait. Okay, this is my last poem. This is a cento. This is called Gruesome. Pain is a flower, to stare at nothing. Down the ravine behind the empty house. Dreaming evil, I have done my hitch. Broken ghosts with glowworms in their head. Stay up all night screaming, running rampant, whatever colors you have in your mind. This was gruesome. And that's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Anthony, for sharing those poems. And for that, you probably heard the chat blowing up with how excited everyone was to hear your work. And specifically, as Kristin mentioned in the chat, I just had like the greatest nostalgic flashback to Strawberry Nesquik, like that my whole elementary school experience, proosted into one little moment. Between that and EverQuest from Gina's poem, I'm just like living in 15 to 20 years in the past right this moment. But no better way to end our reading than to shoot through time. And again, that is Anthony Tyler, whose work you should keep an eye out for in the future, because when it is published, as it inevitably will be, it'll be a great thing to read. So thank you, Anthony, for being here. And thank you, all of you, for joining us on this beautiful Thursday night, March 17th. I hear there's some holidays and stuff that happen on this day in particular. And just by way of closing, I just want to thank everyone, not only our readers, but also our listeners, for giving this hour or so of their lives over to poetry. I really hope that if you're listening with a sheaf of new poems close at hand, you might consider dropping us a line. Again, we're at Performance Anxiety, Performance ANXT on Twitter, or you can just email, tomsnarsky@gmail.com, or find me on Twitter or what have you. We would really, really love to have you at a future event, reading your poems and getting celebrated with these awesome folks and being in the company. Who wouldn't want to be in the company of the amazing work that you've heard tonight? Our next reading is going to be on April 21st. We would love to see you here, see you there if you can join us. And by way of closing tonight, I just wanted to read a poem I've been carrying around, I think this is probably like a vaguely maladaptive behavior, but I've been carrying around the dream songs for a couple of days. And so this is one of the later ones. So I think this is from the Toy Dream Rest sort of segment of that book. And, there's a lot that can be said about Berryman, but I couldn't not read this poem tonight. This poem is one of the later ones. It's number 275 in the Dream Songs, and it's subtitled July 11th. And yet I find myself able at this deep point to carry out my duties. I lecture. I write. I am even lecturing well. I threw 2 chairs the janitors had piled on the podium to the floor of the lecture hall. The students were amazed. It was good for them. Action in the midst of thought, an angry Zen touch, something not written down except in the diaries of the unknown devoted ones of the 115. Master Henry is approaching his limit. A little more whiskey, please. A little more whiskey, please. Something's got to give, either in edgy Henry or the environment. The conflict cannot last. I soothe myself with, though for 50 years the wars made headlines. Waiting for fall and the cold fogs thereof in delicious Ireland.